So 5 sacks on Sunday. What would you say was working, I guess, better in that game than had been previously?
Yeah, the whole season's been a progression. I go back to our Dallas game where we started to have some results finally from some work that we've been doing all the way through the offseason into training camp. And then we really did affect the passer down in New Orleans. Played really good in the second half. Didn't get the production, obviously, on the stat sheet that we wanted, but we really got Carr off the spot. The pass rush was coming alive. Then, obviously, the anomaly, out in Denver. Obviously, we didn't play very well, didn't coach very well, and so we were still on an incline, had a little dip, and then it felt like, hey, here we go, we're back on an incline again. And so, like I said, I've said it a couple months ago, we just got to trust the process, keep going. The guys have been working really, really hard, and they worked hard last week. They're working hard this week, and now, hey, we just got to trust the process, go out there, and let the results happen. What's going to happen on Sunday?
Arnold Ebiketie had 2 sacks, and I think a lot of people have been waiting for him to kind of have that breakout performance the last couple of seasons here. Is he doing anything differently? Are you seeing kind of different? Obviously, the results are different, but what's the process like for him?
No, I don't see anything different with him. I mean, he's working his tail off. He's playing with really good effort. He has all year long, and then it's so nice. Finally, now you get the result that you want, and you get the prize that you want. That statistic now. The totality, we want to win the game. I mean, that's the first thing, we want to win the game. We don't want to just look down at the stat sheet and oh my gosh, we got sacks. I mean, we want to win the football game first. And so, as happy as we are with the progression that we had, we didn't play good enough on defense. Their defense played better than our defense. That's how I look at it. They had more turnovers than we had. They scored on defense. We didn't score on defense. And so, we have to match. We have to play better than their defense to win the game, and that's the whole key to it. We have to win the football game. We're not in this business to get sacks and get interceptions. We're trying to win the ball game. And so, but back to AK, he's working his tail off, and he's working his tail off this week. And if he continues to do that, plays with that maximum effort, takes advantage of his opportunities, we're hoping he does affect the passer like he did last Sunday.
I feel like it's a guy that people are happy for because he's such a nice guy, right? He's
yeah.
Almost too nice to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of really good guys, really good high character guys. But when they put that helmet on, they strap those shoulder pads on. They're not nice anymore. in AKs with those, even AK. Oh yes.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Was there a different response at all this week from the guys, just kind of having that proof of concept that this is going to work, and we did get the results we were looking for out of this hard work?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Again, you go back to the Dallas game, whatever it was a month ago. I mean, there was, we've had some flashes. We've had flashes, and more so we're upset that we didn't win the football game. I mean, that's really the temperature, in the building, in the defensive room at least, is we didn't do enough to win the football game. And so, there's always every single game win-loss. There's like some positives you can take away, but we're in this business to win games, and we didn't get it done on Sunday, and we have to play better defense on this next Sunday to make sure we come home from Minnesota with a victory.
What stands out about this Minnesota offense that have led them to so much success this year?
Yeah, I mean, talent across the board. Obviously, it starts with a quarterback, Sam Darnold, who I know very, very well. Top 10 pick. All the talent is there. There's a reason why he was a top 10 pick, and you can see it. Kevin O'Connell and their coaching staff's doing a great job with him. He's clicking through his progressions. He's got elite arm talent, and he's throwing to elite players. I think they're 8th or 9th in the NFL in pass offense. And then if you start worrying about all the pass and all that stuff, they're just going to turn around and hand the ball off to a really good running back. And so we know we got an explosive offense on our hands that we have to deal with, which feels like it's every single week in the National Football League.
The Vikings lead the league in first quarter scoring. Have you noticed anything in particular about their kind of like opening game script and just the way they start games?
Yeah, I mean they're explosive. I see every single quarter they're explosive. That's what I see. If you fall asleep at the wheel, he's going to throw that ball down the field, and he's got all the arm talent in the world, and he's got big time athletes that can go up and grab it. And we can't just be worried about the first quarter. We got to be worried about the second, the third, and the fourth until the zeros are on the clock. This is an explosive offense.
Justin Jefferson is one of those dudes. He plays everywhere on that offense. What are the challenges of matching a receiver who can be kind of like anywhere on any given play?
Yeah, they do a good job of moving around. He's definitely not going to be in one spot. You can tell he can, take in a lot of the schematics and be able to move and run different routes, inside routes, outside routes. And then his speed, his athleticism, his ball awareness. He is the elite of the elite. There's a lot of elite players, but then there's a handful at the very top of above the elite, and Justin Jefferson is definitely in that conversation.
When you look back at the bye and all the self-scouting the defense did you see any of those takeaways translate to the field, which led to the sacks?
Yeah, there's no question. Really, across the board, there was a really good job to reflect what offenses were trying to do to us, what we were doing well, what we weren't doing so well. Hey, let's change a few things. And we've really done this twice now. Our first mini bye was after we played the Thursday night game against Tampa Bay. And so we were really able to look back. I think it was game 1 through 5 after Tampa, really look at ourselves and kind of change a couple of things. And we saw some progression there after that game and really cleaned some up stuff from games 1 through 5. And then now this next bye, true bye, games 6 through 11, same thing. We were able to really look in there, clean it up, and see what offenses were trying to do to us. So now we can kind of move some things, maybe some calls that we had that we thought were being effective and weren't as effective. And so we changed a few things. So we've done this really twice now, and we really do it week to week, but you can really do more of a deep dive when you have a short little break.
In a couple games this year, AJ's been switched on to a receiver that's had maybe an unexpected first half, with that Saints game or whatnot. Just what does that say about his ability to effectively shut those guys down in the second half?
Yeah. AJ is playing big-time football. I'll say that right now. He is the true lockdown corner in the National Football League, and it is very nice to have a player of his magnitude that can do exactly what you say. If we need to go put him on somebody, we know that receiver is going to have a tough time of getting production for that game. He takes that challenge to heart. He studies. He works at it. He just had an incredible practice just now, and it's fun to watch a true professional work with that much talent and another high character guy. That's a great human being. He's a joy to work with.
The Dallas 3-sack game followed the mini bye you just referenced. How do you ensure that this time around it wasn't just a flash, that these lessons from the bye carry on past the game after?
Yeah. So the lessons didn't just go by. So that's the thing. The lessons were there, and we, again, if you look down the stat sheet, maybe that's what you want to see is where the sack's at. We affected the passer in the New Orleans game. After the Dallas game, we did do that, and so the lessons are there, and the guys are learning. There's not a step back, and so and also we're facing different offenses that are going to do different things as well, and so. The guys are going to continue to work, and what we're ultimately trying to do is give our team the ability to win the football game. That's what it really is. It's not this team has 8 sacks and we have 3 and we lose. It's about trying to win the football game first. And so, they're taking these lessons. They're going to keep working, and we let the results happen how they happen.
Yeah, Coach. What does it mean when you get a play from a guy like Street who gets in there, drives some depths, and gets the quarterback there?
Oh yeah, Octavius, man, he's provided definitely a lot of juice, a lot of explosion. Shows that in practice. It's the reason why he made this team. He's definitely given us a jolt of energy as a pass rusher inside, and you'll continue to see him. In that mold, and he's also a big-time football player on first, second down as well. But Contavious, man, another guy that works his tail off, and we really like the production that he had this last game, and we expect that to continue.
And what would it mean to get, I guess, Mike Hughes back and Rook if he's back in the rotation, get a couple people back for the unit?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's another thing coming off the bye. We got a lot healthier team wide. That was a big difference in this last game, but especially on defense and even guys that weren't injured, just to kind of get them fresher. And we looked more explosive last Sunday than we definitely did a couple of weeks ago in Denver. But those guys that you mentioned, if they're able to play, that's also going to add some extra juice and extra explosion to our defense.
Kind of gone through this thing with playing two safeties over the top of Justin Jefferson, playing a lot of split safety coverage against him, and then they have all those other weapons, Hawkinson, Addison, on the line. How do you kind of balance that out this week of trying to take Jefferson away while paying attention to everything else they have?
Yeah, no, it's a difficult math problem to solve, is what it is, and it's pick your poison. You got to try to make these coverages really muddy for these quarterbacks, and you can't stay in one coverage. You got to mix it up, and it's a chess match. That's what it is. And so you pay too much attention to Justin Jefferson, which some teams have done, and rightfully so. They have Jordan Addison, who will just rip your throat out and go score a touchdown. And so Hawkinson's a big-time player. They'll have Cook on a wheel route. And so it's a chess match. We got to do a good job of mixing and matching what we're doing, and making Darnold not feel very comfortable back there that he has an easy one-on-one shot to any of those big-time eligible receivers and tight ends and running backs.
Yeah, Coach, everybody looked at the sacks and everything, but what do you attribute the 187 season low total yardage output to?
For the LA Chargers?
Yes, that was season low, 187.
Yeah. So it's a team effort. So first of all, we did an excellent job stopping their run, and that's what the questions way back. I go back to like game 1 or game 2, and all the talk about the pass rush. We have to earn the right to rush the passer. We have to stop the run first, and so I think they had 56 yards rushing, something like that. Well, when you're stopping the run like that, now you get them in known passing downs. Now we can really unleash and go after the quarterback. Those first set of games right there when, we had, Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields, and they're running the ball. They're always in favorable down and distances. Guess what? It's really hard to get after the quarterback, okay? And so that's the first thing that we did. Now, this is a team. This is a team game. Our offense ran the ball last Sunday, and we dominated the time of possession. And so the best defense is sitting next to me on the sideline while our offense is operating. Okay, our total plays for the game were about 46 plays. And so we did a good job stopping the run. We did a good job rushing the passer, all those things. But you got to give a lot of credit, obviously, to Zach and our offense and their ability to run the ball, move the chains, and keep us off the field.
Coach, totally different challenge this week because of the presence of Addison and Hawkinson. But last week, first half, second half, with Ladd and McConkey, you guys seemingly figured something out there in the second half. Did you learn anything that you can carry over to this week and that you feel good about?
Yeah, first, Ladd's a great player. They targeted him a bunch, and I think he had all of the receiving yards, which is about 130 receiving yards. And so that's not going to make any of us blink on any game. Now, if 4 or 5 different receivers have 8 catches for 100 and some yards, we just had a bad day, okay? If one receiver for their whole team has 117 yards, that's a great day. That's a great day. So I will take that right now. One receiver having 117 yards on Sunday, and everybody else has nothing, like last Sunday. Let's chalk that up right now. I'll take that.
The Falcons nominated Grady Jarrett as the Walter Payton Man of the Year. What has it been like for you working with him this season?
Oh, so much respect for the man. Before I arrived here, didn't know him at all. Just knew what a great player he was. But now watching him go through what he went through, coming off in an injury and playing such a physical position, and for him to be able to just come in and play at a high level, lead at a high level, be the incredible human being that he is, all the community events that I've seen him, do, attend and lead. And then just seeing his leadership, through the tough times is what every NFL season is going to be. It's not going to be rainbows and butterflies. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to be gnarly. And Grady is an outstanding man, and he's going to be one of those top guys when I'm finished coaching, done years from now, that I look back on and with great gratitude that I was able to be around him.
All right, well, I'll get started. Just going off of last week's game, unfortunate to lose a tough game like that versus a really good team that's playing really well right now in this part of the season. Unfortunately, it was, we missed the first field goal in that opening drive, but I am proud of the way our team responded. You talk about the field goal team and going back, making the next field goal, making the field goal to take the lead when it was a 10-9 ball game, and then making the next couple. So that was awesome to see. But again, too, going into games like that, every point matters, and it's our job, starting with myself as a special teams coordinator, to make sure we put every single point on the board when we get those opportunities. Our guys played hard. They're playing physical. I thought Kevin King did a great job on the fake punt, being able to be locked into the call and bring the call to life and eliminate them from extending the drive, which was awesome and critical to give us great field position for our offense and for our team. As we look forward, we're excited about this week, an opportunity to go up to Minnesota to play against the Vikings. A really good team. They're hot right now. It's a great challenge for us. They have two good returners with Ty Chandler out of North Carolina. He's been playing really well. He's been making a prominent role on special teams as a personal protector, coverage player, and as a kickoff returner. And then Brandon Powell, who I had the privilege to coach in Detroit and get to coach against him multiple times. He's doing a good job as a punt returner. He's fearless. He does a good job of catching the ball and getting vertical with the football, and he brings a lot of energy to their special teams units. And you got Josh Metellus, who's a really good core player. I know he's playing a lot more on defense, but I had the privilege to work with him too in the Senior Bowl, and you could see the traits and who he is as an individual and as a person, his athletic ability, and it's coming to light, and I'm very happy for him and what he's doing for their defense and special teams unit. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Yeah, Coach, they play in, so many close games. It looked like the Cardinals had them last week, and they got off the mat there. Knowing it's going to probably be a close game, how important is it for y'all to, execute at 100% efficiency or as close as you can to that?
It's beyond important. It's very important. Every play matters. Right now, we are playing playoff football. We're playing against a playoff caliber team that's having a lot of success with the Minnesota Vikings. And you can see last week's game how it was going back and forth, how every play, field position, every points, everything matters. So for us as a special teams unit, we want to make sure that we're locked and loaded when it comes to what we need to do. We're having high urgency with the details and what we're doing on special teams and making sure that any opportunity that we get, because of the kickoff play, whether it's a touchback or no touchback, if they kick the ball to us, or we go cover kicks, if there's fair catches, any opportunity that we get, we got to make the most out of it and give our offense and defense the best field position, score or set up a score when it comes to us on special teams. And we've had a good week of prep so far. I'm excited to get back on the field in a little bit, work with these guys in the walkthrough and the practice to continue to work on our game plan, and we're ready to go out there and execute and play at a high level.
Did King have a tip on that, or was it just heads-up play on his part?
Well, those guys are just locked in. They have specific assignments, rules, keys that they have on every particular play on punt return. And it's up to those guys being locked into the down and distance. Certain guys are in certain positions. I want to say J.K. Scott I don't think he's even thrown a pass in his career, I'm pretty sure. So that play coming up, I give a lot of credit to those guys being locked in, because as the game goes on, guys are playing on offense and defense D-led, and all of a sudden you transition to punt return, and that time of being able to transition from a defensive play to a special teams play, you could have the right assignment, know who you're supposed to have on certain plays, but I give a credit to our special teams units of those guys being in the present, because a lot of things happen. It's no different than Kevin King made a play on third down, and then he was ready to go on the very next play for punt return and had a good knockdown on the gunner. So those things are critical for us, because you can win and lose games based on transition, and our guys have been locked in, and we continue to improve, and I continue to challenge those guys, and they challenge each other on being locked in the present when it comes to us playing on special teams.
Who was questionable last week, and you guys brought in another kicker, just in case. How close was he to not playing?
When it goes into certain situations like that, Mark, it's more so just being ready before any opportunity presents itself. Our personnel staff, you talk about Terry, Kyle, Ryan Pace, they do a great job of formulating the ready list. That's why we bring in guys earlier in the season to see, just in case things happen. A huge part of that, it started back with COVID, and then having 16 guys on a practice squad, having those elevations, and you never know when things are going to pop up, whether it's an injury or if somebody has something that's nagging them. So big credit to those guys upstairs. But when those things happen and a guy pops up on the injury report, any position, particularly with the kicker or specialist, you want to make sure that you have guys ready to go when it comes to that. And Riley, I give him a lot of credit. He got on a short notice, got out here on Thursday, kicked some field goals on Friday. He was ready to go, had the mindset, and was prepared to go on Sunday if need be. Luckily, we're in a position where Koo felt good, and we're able to go out there and go with our kicker.
How long has Koo been dealing with a different issue?
That's something that I'm not going to talk about. I don't talk about injuries when it comes to that. But he was able and he was ready to go. And I give him a lot of credit going out there and putting his best foot forward. And today we were going to have a good session. I'm excited to get to work with him.
Is it accurate Is it accurate to say that some of Koo's struggles this season have been due to partly to the injury?
No, I'm not saying that. But Koo's been hitting the ball well. Just so happened there's some kicks that haven't been through the uprights. There was 2 that was tipped, and then the other 6 didn't go through the uprights. But he's hitting the ball well. We're not going to make excuses about injuries or anything like that. If he's out there, that's his job. Everybody said week 15, 14 of the season. It's a long NFL season. Everybody's not 100% when it comes to playing in this game. It's no different than you guys being in here, Led, Mark, and Taryn. Like, this is a long season for you guys. Like, you could be fatigued as well when it comes to – yeah, hey, go get you in there with the training staff. But it's a long season, so, like, everybody's not 100%, whether it's mental or physical when it comes to that. But – I know the ball didn't go through the uprights on 8 kicks, and that's our job to make sure we put the ball through the uprights. And he knows that. Nobody's trying to miss kicks. Nobody's trying to have a bad day. Nobody's trying to write a bad story or anything. That's not the intent. What we're trying to do. But if he's out there, he's healthy and he's ready to go. So
I think deduce was the word that I was struggling.
Yeah, that's all good, man. That's all good. I knew where you're coming from.
That wasn't the first time this season that your unit has caught a fake punt or sniffed it out. What's the key to that? And does it go back to preparation and film, or is it just their instincts?
It's a combination of a lot of things. At the end of the day, I believe our players, Taryn, bring the call to life. But it's preparation is everything. Our guys do a great job being locked in, understanding the game plan, understanding the calls that we have. I could call any call, but it's up to our players to bring those calls to life. When it comes to our preparation, when it comes to the film study, the history of the coordinator, potential players that they have out there, because the NFL is personnel-driven. What players do they have out there? What players can help them and extend drives? Our number one goal on punt return is to make sure we have the ball for our offense on the next play. And that goes from Avery catching the ball and securing it, whether it's a fair catch, we get 10 yards on a return, whatever the case may be, making the right decision on a ball that's punted behind him and ends up being a touchback, like towards the end of the game versus Tampa before we hit the game-time field goal. All those things pop up, or making sure that, hey, the ball is being punted, making sure they're not running a fake, making sure we're not having our defense on the bench after they did a great job getting a stop and having them come off the bench and be back on the field. So it's a combination of everything, but our guys do a great job being locked in the meeting rooms, locked in on the practice field, and most importantly, being locked in on game day. And the better we could transition from third down, getting the calls, understanding, hey, it could be a 4th and long situation or a 4th and short situation. Those calls could be totally different for us as a special teams unit. And being able to transition that, obtain that information, and go onto the field, communicate the calls to the other players that are on the field, because on special teams, we don't have a green dot like offense and defense. So it's all communication. Be able to communicate, see the ball snap, understand who's the eligibles, and being able to execute. So it's a huge credit to our special teams unit.
Yeah, back to Koo. Riley signed on Friday, promoted on Saturday, so we're going into Sunday thinking, hey, there might be a move here. But he have to pass a pregame test or something to deactivate Patterson.
You talking about Koo has to go through a pregame test?
Yeah, because you had 2 kickers up.
Yep.
Ready for the game.
Yeah, and it's usually you have to make that decision 90 minutes prior to the game. Anything can happen. Let's say Koo woke up and he wasn't feeling well. Then that's why you have that elevation and you have Riley Patterson ready to go. And that can happen with any player, any position. That's why we carry 53 guys on the active roster. That's why sometimes you have to elevation. That's why sometimes on the road you travel with some practice squad players, because anything can happen overnight. You want to make sure that we're prepared before any opportunity presents itself. And our guys were. So it was one of those deals like, we elevated them, just making sure everything was good. And if something were to happen, let's say somebody woke up and they weren't feeling well, like who? Then or something started to re-aggravate itself. Then that's why you had that player as Riley Patterson ready to go and ready to operate on Sunday if need be.
I don't think we talked to you last week because of Thanksgiving. What were some of the findings over the bye week when it came to self-scouting for special teams?
Just overall self-scouting, just making sure that whatever opportunities that we get, that we're continuing to improve and be consistent with all 11 guys on the field. There's times where 10 out of 11 guys are doing a phenomenal job, and then that 11th guy maybe had an average. He got like a balance on that play, like not a plus but not a minus. And at this level, people make mistakes in the NFL as players and coaches. It's who capitalizes off those mistakes. So you try to limit those negative plays or negative players making plays on certain things so they don't capitalize off that. So how can we be more consistent with that? And obviously we want to make sure we put points on the board, making sure that we're being more effective when rushing punts, rushing kicks, all those things, gaining first downs in the return game. Right now we don't have a lot of ops, and we have limited ops. So when it comes to limited ops, like when we talk about field position with the new kickoff play, Taryn, there has been like a little bit less punts and there's been more field goals. More teams going for it around the logo situation. So if those are limited ops right there, every single opportunity that we get on punt, every single opportunity we get on punt return, field goal block, we got to make the most out of it. So that's a challenge for our room. Whatever the opportunity is, whether it's 1, whether it's 10, we're going to make the most out of it to help our team win games.
What's Kirk's mindset been like this week?
It's been good. He's excited at the opportunity to get back on the horse. He is always really good on Mondays, win, loss, draw. He is very aware of what went on in the game, what he needs to fixes, and it's immediate mindset change of we're going to attack the next week. And obviously, everybody knows this one is special to him. He's not working any extra hard this week than he is any other week, but everybody's focus, across the team, because we know what the situation is. We know what we got to do as a team to go out there and get a win. We're doing everything we can to accomplish that, and that includes, Kirk.
This is a kind of a unique situation because he's coming off, obviously, a really tough game, tough stretch, going back to the place that he played for 6 years. So there's like kind of an inherent. It's kind of the storylines that we like, the narratives that we like.
Oh, you guys are foaming at the mouth.
We love this stuff, but like, as a human being, like how is he taking it? Is he kind of taking it all in stride?
Yeah, he's good. He never really changes much. He's such a pro throughout the week. You can't tell if this was going back to play Minnesota or our next game or the last game. He's always locked in on exactly what we got to do in the room, whatever day it is, third down, red zone, protection, whatever it is. So he's the ultimate pro, and I've been fortunate enough to be around him for however long it's been that we've been together, and still just learning from him, learning how his process is, and learning each other what's the best way to coach him, what's the best way to go through things. We're still figuring out as it goes, and we're all just trying to be better for the quarterbacks, better for the team, and still just every single week is a continuous process for the whole squad.
Are there things to clean up? Because if you look kind of like an analyst on social media, maybe on TikTok, if you're scrolling through TikTok, you might see people saying, well, Kirk Cousins' mechanics are off, the fundamentals are not there. Are there things to clean up with him as far as that stuff, with how he's planting, with how,
No, this guy's been doing this for a long time, and it's kind of funny because it came out of the first game too. We ended up losing, and everybody's got their video critiques. Sure. You got all these former quarterbacks going online and just absolutely just want to pick apart everything somebody's got to do, which is hilarious to me because I know some of those guys. But when we were having a couple games where he was having a good game or we were winning, you don't hear a word about any of his mechanics. So that's just the nature of the beast, the nature of the media. Everybody wants to hop on Twitter and make their own video being a Monday morning quarterback, but there's always things we're working on. And he is always so ready to listen, so ready to implement whatever we're working on for the day, because game plan by game plan, footwork changes, ideas change, whatever it is, it's not always going to look the same. But he's always been a pro about continually trying to get better and trying to work on things, because that's how he goes through his process.
Is this a week where your ability to relate to him as a former player yourself is really important, where you can kind of say, hey, look, I've been here before, I kind of know exactly what this feeling is like, is that anything?
With all of his experience, I've really not experienced all the things that he has. I can relate in some sense of some of the situations that he's been in. I've never been in a situation like this. I don't think really anybody has on our team. So, he's feeling it, and he knows what the situation is, and it's going to mean something to him, just like it would for anybody. So, but he's attacking the week, like I said earlier, just normally how he always would. He's still being the exact pro he was the week before or 4 weeks ago.
During this week, how do you have him bounce back from like a 4
I don't think it's.
Yeah, it's kind of goes back to what I was talking about. Like, you wouldn't know if you came into our meeting on Tuesday or Wednesday that he had 500 yards or he had the game he just had. He is the exact same guy every single time when we're going in the meetings. He doesn't carry the last week with him. He doesn't, whether that's win or loss or setting records or having a rough stretch. So there's not really that you have to do there. He's always going to attack the day the same, whether the day behind him was bad or good.
Oh yeah. Where do you think he learned that process of just kind of the importance of staying pretty level, good or bad?
Yeah, it's what you get from 13 years in this league. He's had a bunch of really good games. He's had stretches where he hasn't played as well. He's had, just like any quarterback that's had 13 years of constant starting, you're going to have bad games. You're going to have some bad stretches where you're not playing as good as you want, or the team, whatever, you're not connecting with the guys or whatever it is. But he's had so many of the good ones, and everybody's is going to have some of the bad ones. So his ability just to bounce back from those and just continue on, that's part of being just the pro that he is.
Kirk's getting the ball out faster than any quarterback against the blitz this season. Is that quickness baked into the offense, or does that come from Kirk's ability to diagnose pre-snap and know exactly where he wants to go with the ball?
It's definitely a little bit of both. We have a lot of quick element throws throughout our offense. He's seen so much defense in his years. He knows where the pressure's coming from. He knows how fast he has to get out the ball. But yes, it is implemented into our offense because the guys we have and how we're built and what we kind of do offensively. So, and there's always plays that are longer, deep down the field shots and play actions and stuff like that. But the way we're built, we like to play like that, get the ball out fast and distribute. He's just being a point guard out there.
How has he gone about it this week when it's a defense he's practiced against? It's a defense that kind of looks different than a lot of teams around the league do. And
yeah, for sure.
How has he applied some of that history he has with them?
He has knowledge that none of the guys in this building have about certain things about their defense, little nuances here and there, how they like to play this coverage or, a tip on a blitz or whatever it may be. He's practiced against these guys for years. So the valuable information that he has in his brain is helping out not only the players around him, but some of the coaches when we're going into the game plan.
Does he just volunteer that stuff, or do you go ask him? How does that
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's a little bit of both. He always has notes at the beginning of every meeting. I basically let him start it off, and he goes through his notes that he has from the day before, from the practice, the walkthroughs, or his film study. So, I keep going back to this, but he's a phenomenal pro. Like, you should see his notebooks of all his notes that he has, all the plays he writes up and all those things. So, it's, I'm very fortunate to be able to coach a guy that has such a mass amount of knowledge in this game and experience that he has, and it comes into play a lot this week. No, I know he's going to bounce back. The whole team has, confidence that he's going to do that. He's the type of guy, like, I know I keep going back to this as well, like, you wouldn't know. You come into that meeting on Wednesday, you would have no idea that he had a bad game. And that demeanor going out to practice, being a pro, lets everybody and helps everybody snap back in to what we have to accomplish that day of practice or that week.
Educate us on some of these picks, like the outside looking in and things against this ball. There's something going on within the motive.
Everyone's got, every type of play has its own story. How the coverage is, how the route was run, how the throw was. Sometimes it's a little bit off timing wise. Sometimes it's not the exact look that you thought it was pre-snap, post-snap. or just, sometimes those guys make good plays. They get paid too. They get paid a lot of money as well. So there's so many factors that go into every single play. You can never really, pinpoint exactly one thing across all the different ones.
How has Mike's progress been this year, and are there any specific areas that you've just been working with him, wanting to see improvements over the course of this season?
Yeah, no, Mike's he has progressed really well. And one of the best things is he gets to go against our defense every single day on scout team, and he treats all of those reps, like he's getting ready, and he takes those reps seriously. He competes really, really hard against our defense, and he does a great job. He's more of a quiet guy that sits back and learns and just listens, but just by osmosis or just observing kind of what Kirk does, he has continually become a better and better pro each week just by just being in our room. We got a great quarterback room, and Nate Peterman helps a ton too. He's got a ton of experience in this league. He's got a bunch of starts, so all of our guys. DJ is absolutely awesome. He helps out with Mike a ton because we kind of have to split up and just kind of manage different things at different times. So he has been an unbelievable help. It's like having the two quarterback coaches in the room with DJ in there with all his knowledge that he's had from years with in New Orleans with Drew Brees and stuff. So we have a ton of healthy conversations in our quarterback room, and we're all getting better from it and get better from each other.
TJ, I'm curious with the Kirk kind of like seeming as though it's another week, right? That he's kind of not phased by this last one. Is there a little bit of a fine line where you would maybe want to see from the quarterback a greater sense of urgency to kind of overcome some of this stuff, or do you really just want to see that consistency? It's a new week, we're going about it the same way.
That's kind of how he has made his career, being that consistent guy no matter what. Like, every once in a while he'll get really pumped up and give one of his famous little whatever it is, but for the most part, that dude is about as level as it gets, and I think everybody knows that. Kind of, you can, after being around the guy for a while and the players being around each other, they kind of, sometimes you just see all the stuff on Netflix or whatever, like he's getting all, but like for the most part, that guy is very even keel at all times. So him being the same guy every single day really helps everybody else out there.
So it's more about being genuine to who he is.
Exactly, because players know this. Other players can feel it when you're not a genuine person, you're not who you are every single day. People can sense it. And he is the same guy every single day. And people, they know what to expect from him all the time.
Sorry, I don't think we've talked to you since the preseason. So
it's been a while.
What has this season been like for you, coaching these tight ends?
It's been fun. We're actually talking about it today, just how much of an eclectic group we have. Christmas is coming up, and it's talking about gift exchange and all that, things that go with it, and how collective of a group that we do have, different personalities. So it's made it a lot of fun, even through the ups and the downs. Going into that room, it's a good atmosphere. So again, I enjoy coming to work. I tell those guys it's my favorite part of the day when I'm able to go in there with those guys and coach them up and help them out and try to win a game. So it's easy to dwell on the negative, but I've been having fun throughout everything. So.
Before getting to the football part, then, who's the most difficult to shop for?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably Kyle, just because he has such good taste. I'm like, some of the stuff that he wears, I'm like, I don't even know where to go to buy some of those things. So he would probably be the most difficult. Charlie's pretty low maintenance in that respect. So you get him, you put him out in the woods in the wilderness, he's pretty happy. So. Yeah, he's easy. Right. Low maintenance, my type of guy. So.
Like you said, a range of personalities.
Yeah, range of personalities, and then you have Ross, who's from California, so he's very laid back. He's probably somewhere in the middle between Chuck and between Kyle. But yeah, definitely be Kyle. I feel like I would have so much anxiety trying to pick out a gift that it wouldn't meet his standards. So I'm glad it's White Elephant, so I don't have to just buy for him, because I would not want to be that guy. So.
Speaking of Kyle, how do you get involved in this offense?
Yeah, like for him, like my thing, like I said earlier in the year, I was like, hey, your success this year isn't going to be based on like yards and catches and touchdowns. Like your success for us and in my eyes and our eyes on offense is like, hey, just let the trust factor with you and you being in the right spot at the right time and the effort that you play with, like all those things, those intangible things that people may not see, that may not show up on a game in and game out basis. Like that's how I'm judging you, Kyle, not off yards and all that, because some of that stuff can be misleading. And the other part too for him, I told him like your biggest issue is like we have other guys on offense get the ball to. You have Mooney, you have Drake, you have Bijan, you have Tyler, you have Ray. So we have all these guys on offense. So the ball has to get spread around. So that's how I told him. I'm like, you can't dwell on that. All you can dwell on is like, hey, am I doing my job to the best of my ability, day in and day out? And that's the only thing that we can control.
Is there a sense of frustration over his lack of usage, I guess?
No, just because I think we have been productive on offense. I think it's a little self-serving when you look at like, hey, I need the ball, I need to do this, Kyle needs to do that, and it's like that's not what it's about. So that's what we preach in our room. It's not about we're happy as hell to have Charlie Warner in our room. The reason why he's in our room isn't because he had all these stats earlier in his career. So for us, I'm like, hey, it's not about that. It kind of it goes along with the position. Sometimes you have to block that defensive end and you're not going to get the glory. It is what it is, just because that's what's required for us to win the football game. If Kyle and I, if you have to win one-on-one and we're targeting on this play, you got to go win. If you got to go block this defensive end, you got to go win, no matter what that job is. So, the biggest thing is you have to play each game the way you need to play it to win it. Sometimes you may have to run it 50 times, you may have to pass it 50 times. So sometimes we might have to get our hands dirty, and we're more than up for the challenge. So it is what it is.
From the outside, looking in from fans and whatnot, you just go look at the stat sheet and say, yeah, he's not there, he's not doing nothing. But you don't see the blocking, the shedding, you don't see the other role that he has.
Right, and that's part of the position. For us, the standard is for the position. So it's like, hey, we're expecting you to go in there and block it just as well as you run routes. Those things don't show up on the stat sheet. They don't see him. Ray breaks a long run on the outbreaker up the sideline, and Kyle's right next to him, ushering him down the field. People don't see that, but I see how hard he's playing in that moment, and I'm proud of him for that. And I'm just as excited about Ray catching it as I am Kyle blocking for his teammate. There's other times where, hey, he is winning on routes, but guess what? There's other guys open too. So, sometimes the ball doesn't come our way, and we can't control that. All we can control is our effort. And hey, I tell them hey, when that ball does come our way, we need to make sure we're in the right spot. We need to do what we need to do to make sure that the play is successful, whether it is running next to Ray or beating a safety in one-on-one coverage. So whatever the play calls for, the standard is the standard, and nothing just below that. So
he seems to be a lightning rod for controversy. It seems like whenever there's something going on with the Falcons offense, it's like, well, Kyle Pitts, and honestly, it's like when I watch some of the TV broadcasts back, there are even TV broadcasters that will just kind of criticize him in a moment for the way he ran a route or what he did or didn't do. Do you think some of those criticisms are fair or unfair?
Whether we think they're fair or not, it's the reality, and perception is reality. The thing about it, hey, you got drafted 4th overall, so that's what's going to come with that. You want that attention, you want those expectations, because that means you're a really good player. So, he has high expectations for himself, just like the outside world does. So it comes apart. It's a part of it. When you are drafted in the first round that high, there's things that come with it that we have to deal with that we don't talk about because we don't control that. So, for me, I'm we're not going to spend our time worrying about what those people are saying. It's hey, you got a man reaching that 9 technique. Did we win or did we lose? And then if we did lose, how did we lose? And how are we going to correct it to get better the next time? So when Kyle catches these big explosive plays, we're just as happy when he does that versus hey, Mooney catches a big one and we're down there celebrating with them. So at the end of the day, because all that matters, when we win the game, we make the playoffs, everybody gets what they want anyway. So it's we can't stress about the other things, knowing hey, we signed up for this too. We signed up for it, and that's a part of playing NFL football is outside noise and people having their opinions, because that's what it is. So, and he deals with it well, and it doesn't affect who he is as a person and his mood day in and day out. So now we welcome it, and it's a part of the deal, and we handle it accordingly.
It's such a difficult narrative to balance, because like you said, Charlie, you never talked about his stats entering here because he plays a completely different style, but then you have Kyle, where technically they're the same position, but he goes a game without one catch, and it's uproar. But no one would uproar about Charlie if he didn't have a catch in a game.
Absolutely.
What's it like balancing that?
Not as hard as you think, because again, I think it's if your focus is on just self-centered me and my stats and what I'm doing, there's gonna be a lot of outward frustration coming from it. But we lean on each other. And, I think naturally too, it's sometimes if somebody is feeling frustrated, it just comes from a place of they just want to help the team win. I just want to help us win, and hey, just realizing too, hey, we can help the team win in other aspects. It's not always catching the big pass down the field. It's springing a big run and getting just as excited about that as you would when you are scoring touchdowns. So it's all about how you approach it, your mindset, as you do approach it. But, you know, it's easy if you do hang on those things, it's easy to get frustrated. But we keep it positive in our room, and, hey, how can we affect the play in a positive light when the ball's not in our hands? So I think those guys have done a great job with it, just staying positive and trying to be a lightning rod for the offense in terms of like bringing energy and affecting the game in different ways.
Does that just go to show how different a tight end can be from one person to another?
Absolutely. You know, I think we'd have the most diverse room. I think just naturally the tight end position, you do have so many different personalities. I think it's coming to fruition in our room, but I think it helps because Charlie's like, I've never caught more than 3 or 4 balls in an entire year. So it's like just having that perspective in the room, hearing that, like, oh, not that it could be worse, but it could be different. And, hey, here's this guy who's playing really good football right now, happy that he caught a ball last week. He's like, this is the best thing ever. So I think it's nice when you have those different personalities that brings perspective, it brings wisdom into the room. So you're able to lean on those different guys for those different perspectives. And I think it keeps everything focused for us and going in the right direction. So it's good. It's fun.
Him also the history of the tight ends who've had long careers in this league. That's not pass catching. I think Mercedes Lewis and Jack's been for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. We were actually talking about, Ross and I were talking about today, like you don't have to have all the stats to have a long career in this league, like playing tight end especially. So yeah, we talk about Kyle, like he loves football, so like he's astute on a lot of the great tight ends in this game, knowing like, hey, and I think a lot of times too, like I tell him like, hey, that's why we don't focus on stats, because like you get in the building and the team knows the type of value that you do bring, whether it's stat related or not. Like that's what's going to give you longevity when coaching staffs, when GMs, when they have trust in you as a player, that's how you play a long time, stats or not. Now, everybody wants to have the stats and be Hall of Fame and do those things. I'll never squash anybody for wanting to do that, but the other part, too, like I talked about earlier, is like the whole trust factor. And so when you get into a building and a team knows what you bring, the value you do provide, they don't want to let you go. That's how you play all those years in the league. Stats or not. So yeah, he's a history buff. He likes to watch a lot of those older guys and what they do. So yeah, he's very aware, very aware.
I did all my stat homework. Now I feel bad. But I did the red zone stats. He's 1-7. Is it kid? So I don't know if that's a good stat or bad. But is it could he possibly help more in the red zone? For you guys.
Yeah,
red zone is 2-8 the last 3 games, and
yeah, I think we can all help the red zone. I think it's on everybody. As we get down there, you cross at 50, you cross at 20, and you have your penalties, your pre-snap penalties, your post-snap penalties. So it's hard too. Like when you're getting knocked out of, because the hard part, you start in the red zone, you get knocked out of it. Now all of a sudden it's third down from the 30-yard line. Now it's like, well, what play are you calling? So a lot of it, like we can all help it. We can all help it, just being more efficient when we do cross that 20-yard line, just changing our mentality and just playing clean football. That's what it boils down to.